a wise homeless man, unfolds into a beautiful saga of compassion. Moved by Joe's resilience and a struggling mother's plight, Alex's small acts of kindness ripple through their community. His profound gesture of inviting Joe into his home, repaying a forgotten kindness, ignites a chain of goodwill. Together they cultivate a communal garden, symbolizing unity and shared care. This garden becomes a testament to their collective spirit, teaching everyone that each act of kindness, no matter its size, seeds a more compassionate, interconnected world, enriching lives beyond measure. The sun had barely risen over the city, casting a warm golden hue over the bustling streets of Hyderabad. Alex, with his usual brisk pace, navigated through the morning crowd, his mind a whirlpool of thoughts and deadlines. The city, with its relentless energy, mirrored his restless spirit. He moved like a drop of water in a vast, unending ocean of people, each with their own stories, their own destinations. As he walked, the cacophony of the city filled his ears. The distant honking of cars, the muffled chatter of early risers, and the occasional clatter of a street vendor setting up for the day. Yet, amidst this symphony of urban life, Alex felt an inexplicable sense of solitude. It was as if he was alone in a crowd, a solitary figure against the backdrop of a city that never sleeps. His thoughts were abruptly interrupted as he took a shortcut through a less crowded lane. Here, the city's relentless pace seemed to slow down, and the noise faded into a quiet hum. It was in this unexpected tranquility that Alex noticed him. An old man sitting on the sidewalk, his clothes worn and tattered, a small, battered hat placed in front of him for alms. The man, Joe, had eyes that seemed to carry the weight of untold stories, stories of hardship and survival. His gaze wasn't one of desperation, but rather of resigned acceptance. It was a look that spoke volumes, reaching out to Alex in a silent appeal that was more powerful than words. Something stirred within Alex. In that brief moment, his own troubles seemed trivial, insignificant in the grand scheme of things. He found himself slowing down, his heart tugging him towards the old man. Without a second thought, he reached into his pocket, pulling out a few notes. As he offered the money to Joe, their eyes met, and Alex saw a spark of surprise, followed by a warm, heartfelt gratitude that lit up the old man's weathered face. "Thank you, young man." Joe's voice was a raspy whisper, yet it carried a strength that belied his frail appearance. "May your kindness return to you 100-fold." Alex nodded, a lump forming in his throat. He couldn't explain why, but Joe's words and his sincere gaze stirred something deep within him. It was a moment of profound connection, a fleeting yet powerful reminder of the humanity that binds us all. As Alex walked away, he felt a subtle shift within him. The weight of his own worries seemed lighter, and the city around him felt a little less daunting. In that simple act of kindness, he had not only offered help, but had also received something in return. A sense of peace, a reminder of the goodness that still existed in the world. The morning sun now seemed brighter, the air a little fresher, as Alex continued on his path, his steps a bit more purposeful, his heart a little more open. The day ahead, once a canvas of obligations, now held the promise of new possibilities, of moments where he could make a difference, no matter how small. In the echoes of the city, amidst the chaos and the noise, Alex had found a quiet moment of clarity, a realization that every act of kindness, no matter how insignificant it might seem, carries with it the power to echo through the lives of others, creating ripples that extend far beyond that single moment in time. Joe's corner of the street was more than just a spot on the sidewalk. It was a testament to his journey, a small, unassuming space that held a lifetime of stories. As the city of Hyderabad awoke to another day, Joe settled into his usual spot, his presence almost as constant as the rising sun. The passers-by varied each day. Hurried office workers, groups of students, tourists exploring the city's charms. Yet few noticed the old man with the kind eyes and weathered face. To them, he was just another part of the city's landscape, as unremarkable as the faded billboards or the worn street signs. But Joe saw them all. He observed the city with the wisdom of someone who had seen the best and worst of humanity. His life hadn't always been confined to this corner. There had been a time when he was much like the people who passed him by, full of dreams, ambitions, and the hustle of everyday life. Years ago, Joe had been a craftsman, his hands skilled in creating beauty from blocks of wood. His work was his pride, each piece a testament to his talent and dedication. But fate is often unpredictable. A series of misfortunes, a failed business, a family tragedy, and the relentless tide of economic downturns had stripped him of everything he held dear. Now, his hands, once so steady and sure, trembled slightly as he held them out, hoping for kindness from strangers. Yet, there was no bitterness in Joe's heart, only a quiet acceptance and an unspoken understanding that life was a tapestry of good and bad threads, woven together in complex patterns. On this particular morning, as the sun cast its golden light on the city, Joe's thoughts were interrupted by a young man's approach. It was a rare occurrence for someone to stop, rarer still for them to look him in the eyes and offer help without hesitation. Alex's act of kindness was a drop of warmth in the cool morning air. As Alex walked away, Joe watched him go, a sense of gratitude filling his heart. He whispered a silent prayer for the young man, a blessing from the depths of his soul. In his many years on the streets, Joe had learned the power of goodwill. It was a currency more valuable than any coin, a currency that could enrich the giver and receiver alike. Joe's corner, though simple and unadorned, became a place of silent reflection for him. He thought about the countless people he had seen, each absorbed in their own lives, their own struggles. He wondered about their stories, their hopes, and their fears. In his heart, he wished them well, hoping that, like Alex, they would find moments of kindness to guide them through their days. As the morning progressed, the city continued its relentless pace. The sound of footsteps, the hum of conversation, the rhythm of life moving around Joe. But in his heart, there was a quiet joy, a reminder that even in the most unlikely places, connections could be made, kindness could be found, and lives could be touched in the most profound ways. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting its rays over the bustling streets of Hyderabad. Alex, now a few blocks away from Joe's corner, continued his journey through the city. The morning's encounter with Joe lingered in his mind, casting a new light on the world around him. He noticed more, the small acts of kindness and moments of connection that often went unseen in the daily rush. As he approached a busy bus stop, his attention was drawn to a woman standing nervously at the front of the queue. She was fumbling through her purse, a look of growing distress on her face. The bus conductor waited impatiently, his expression unsympathetic as the line behind her grew restless. Alex watched as the woman's search became more frantic. It was clear she was short on fare. He could see the worry etched on her face, the quiet desperation of someone trying to maintain dignity in a difficult situation. Her eyes briefly met his, and in them he saw a familiar struggle, the battle against life's unexpected challenges. Without a moment's hesitation, Alex stepped forward. Reaching into his wallet, he pulled out the necessary fare and handed it to the conductor. The woman turned to him, her eyes wide with surprise and relief. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice tinged with emotion. "I was going to see my doctor, and I just... Thank you." "It's no problem at all," Alex replied, offering her a reassuring smile. "I hope your appointment goes well." As the bus pulled away, Alex stood there for a moment, reflecting on the encounter. He realized how a small gesture could have a significant impact on someone's day, perhaps even their life. The woman's gratitude was more than just words. It was a connection, a shared understanding of the kindness that exists in the world. Alex's day was turning out to be a series of unexpected moments, each one revealing the interconnectedness of human experiences. He felt a growing sense of purpose, a realization that his actions, no matter how small, could contribute to a larger tapestry of compassion and empathy. The bus stop, a place where paths crossed and people from all walks of life converged, had become a crossroads of compassion for Alex. It was a reminder that everyone has a story, a journey, and sometimes those paths intersect in the most meaningful ways. As he resumed his walk, Alex felt a renewed sense of awareness. The city around him was alive with stories, each person a world unto themselves, yet all connected in the intricate web of life. He was more determined than ever to be a part of that narrative, to add threads of kindness wherever he could, weaving his own story into the larger story of humanity. Continuing his journey through the heart of Hyderabad, Alex's thoughts were a blend of reflection and anticipation. The encounters of the day had instilled in him a heightened sense of awareness, an understanding of the profound impact of small acts of kindness. The city, with its vibrant colors and ceaseless energy, seemed to echo this newfound perspective. As he passed a small, local pharmacy, a scene caught his eye. Through the glass window, he saw a young mother at the counter, her expression a mix of worry and hope. Beside her stood a little girl, no more than 7 years old, her bright eyes looking up at her mother, unaware of the gravity of the situation. Alex paused, observing as the pharmacist shook his head, pointing to a prescription and then to the cash register. The mother's shoulders slumped. The universal body language of defeat was unmistakable. She reached out, gently pulling the medicine away from the counter, her actions slow, heavy with resignation. Without a second thought, Alex pushed open the pharmacy door and stepped inside. The cool air was a sharp contrast to the warm, bustling street outside. He approached the counter, addressing both the pharmacist and the mother. "Please put the medicine on my bill," Alex said softly, his voice firm with resolve. The mother turned to him, her eyes brimming with a mixture of surprise and relief. "But I can't ask you to do that," she began, her voice trailing off. "It's not a matter of asking," Alex replied, smiling gently. "It's a matter of helping. Please, let me do this." The pharmacist nodded, processing the transaction as the mother struggled to find the words to express her gratitude. Her eyes conveyed more than words ever could, a deep, heartfelt thankfulness that resonated with Alex. As the transaction was completed, the little girl, sensing the change in atmosphere, looked up at Alex and beamed a smile. It was a pure, innocent smile, one that spoke of relief and happiness. Alex couldn't help but smile back, feeling a warmth spread through his heart. "Thank you," the mother said as they left the pharmacy, her voice steadier now, imbued with a newfound hope. "You've done more than you know." Alex watched them leave, the mother holding the child's hand, a small bottle of medicine, now a symbol of a stranger's unexpected kindness. He stood there for a moment longer, taking in the experience. It was clear to him now, more than ever, that kindness was a powerful force, capable of changing lives in moments of despair. As he stepped back onto the sunlit street, Alex felt a profound sense of connection to the world around him. Each person he passed, each face in the crowd, had their own story, their own struggles. And in this vast tapestry of human experience, he realized, there were endless opportunities to extend a hand, to offer support, to make a difference. The pharmacy encounter was more than just a good deed. It was a reaffirmation of Alex's belief in the goodness of people, a belief that had been tested and strengthened in the span of a single morning. With a renewed sense of purpose, he continued his walk through the city, open to the possibilities that lay ahead, ready to be a part of someone's story, just as they had become a part of his. As the afternoon sun began to cast longer shadows on the streets of Hyderabad, Alex found himself walking back towards the part of the city where he had encountered Joe in the morning. Something inexplicable pulled him in that direction, a sense of unfinished business, or perhaps a desire to understand more about the man who had sparked this day of unexpected kindness. Turning the corner, Alex saw Joe still in his usual spot, but the scene was different now. A small group of children from a nearby slum were gathered around him. Joe's face, usually marked by the lines of hardship, was animated, his eyes twinkling as he shared stories with the children. The kids, ranging in age from ragged toddlers to wide-eyed preteens, listened with rapt attention, their usual street-hardened expressions softened in the warmth of Joe's presence. Alex approached quietly, not wanting to interrupt. As he drew closer, he overheard the tail end of a story about a clever fox outwitting a lazy dog. The children erupted in giggles, and Joe's laughter joined theirs, a sound that seemed to momentarily lift the weight of the years from his shoulders. Noticing Alex, Joe's expression shifted to one of mild surprise and pleasure. "Back again, young man?" he asked, his voice a gentle rumble. "Yes," Alex replied, smiling. "I was just passing by and saw you with the kids. You have a way with stories." Joe's eyes crinkled with modesty. These little ones need some joy. They have tough lives. A story or two helps them forget their troubles for a while." As the children dispersed, each throwing a small, shy wave or smile towards Joe, Alex noticed something that he hadn't seen in the morning. Next to Joe was a small pile of fruit and a couple of packets of biscuits. Simple, yet undoubtedly a luxury for someone in Joe's position. "I see you shared more than stories today," Alex remarked, nodding towards the food. Joe looked down at the modest spread beside him, and then back at Alex. "The money you gave me this morning, it was more than I needed for myself. These kids don't get much to eat sometimes. It seemed right to share." Alex was taken aback. The realization that Joe, with so little for himself, had chosen to spend the money on others, especially children, deepened his respect for the old man. It was a profound lesson in selflessness, one that resonated deeply with Alex's own experiences that day. "You're an extraordinary person, Joe," Alex said sincerely. "Your generosity, despite your own needs, is something remarkable." Joe shrugged, a humble smile on his face. "We all have our burdens, young man, but sharing a little can lighten them, don't you think? It's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. Those words struck a chord in Alex. He realized that Joe, in his simple, unassuming way, was teaching him about the true essence of kindness. It wasn't about grand gestures or recognition. It was about the genuine desire to help, to make someone else's life a little brighter, regardless of one's own circumstances. As Alex left Joe that afternoon, his heart was full of a new understanding. The connections we make, the kindness we share, it all comes back in ways we often don't anticipate, in the cycle of giving and receiving. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, contributes to a larger story of compassion and humanity. Walking away, Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. The encounters of the day, especially with Joe, had opened his eyes to the countless opportunities for kindness that lay hidden in the everyday moments of life. He was more determined than ever to be a part of that cycle, to continue spreading the ripples of compassion that Joe had started. Later that evening, as the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Alex found himself at home, his mind still replaying the day's events. The house was quiet, the only sound being the distant hum of the city winding down for the night. He sat at the dining table, a cup of tea in hand, lost in thought. His mother, a gentle and perceptive woman, joined him at the table. She had always been his confidant, the one person who could read his silences as easily as his words. Sensing his reflective mood, she asked, "You seem different today, Alex. What's on your mind?" Alex shared the day's experiences with her, his encounter with Joe, the woman at the bus stop, the mother and child at the pharmacy, and his return to Joe's corner. As he spoke, his mother listened intently, her eyes reflecting a mix of pride and curiosity. When he finished, she was silent for a moment, then spoke softly. "Life has a way of coming full circle, doesn't it? Your kindness today, it reminds me of a story from our past, one I haven't shared with you before." Alex looked at her, intrigued. His mother had always been a source of wisdom and strength. Her life, a tapestry of experiences and lessons learned. "Many years ago, when you were just a baby, we faced a difficult time," she began, her voice tinged with the echoes of memories long buried. "Your father had just lost his job, and we were struggling to make ends meet. There were days when we didn't know if we would have enough to eat." Alex listened, a sense of surprise and empathy growing within him. He had never known about this chapter of their lives, the struggles his parents had faced. "One day, I was at the market trying to figure out how to stretch the little money we had for food. I must have looked as desperate as I felt because a man approached me. He was not well off. His clothes were worn, but his eyes were kind. He handed me some money, enough to buy a week's worth of groceries. I was overwhelmed. I couldn't believe a stranger would help us like that." Tears glistened in her eyes as she continued. "That man was Joe, the same man you helped today." Alex sat in stunned silence, the revelation hitting him like a wave. The cycle of kindness his mother described was not just a concept, but a tangible, living thread that had woven through their lives, connecting past and present in the most unexpected way. "Helping Joe today, you unknowingly repaid a kindness he extended to us years ago," his mother said, reaching across the table to squeeze his hand. "You've always had a good heart, Alex. Today, you've honored that man's generosity in a way you couldn't have imagined." The room was filled with a profound sense of connection, a bridge spanning across years and circumstances, linking their lives with Joe's in a beautiful, serendipitous way. Alex felt a deep gratitude for the journey of the day, for the lessons learned, and for the unseen threads of kindness that bound them all. As night fell and the stars began to twinkle in the sky, Alex realized that every act of kindness, no matter how small, is a part of a larger story. Our actions ripple through time, touching lives in ways we may never fully understand. In the quiet of the evening, with his mother's story echoing in his heart, Alex knew that the cycle of kindness was endless, and he was grateful to be a part of it. The next morning, Alex decided to visit the pharmacy where he had helped the mother and her child. Something about their encounter had stayed with him, a lingering curiosity about their story, and a desire to know if they were doing all right. As he entered the pharmacy, the same pharmacist greeted him with a nod of recognition. "Back again. Was there something wrong with your purchase yesterday?" the pharmacist inquired. "No. Everything was fine. I was actually wondering about the woman and her child I helped yesterday." "Do you know them?" Alex asked, hoping for some insight. The pharmacist's expression softened. "Ah, yes. Mrs. Sharma and her daughter, Anjali. They're regulars here. Anjali has a chronic respiratory condition. They come in often for her medication." Alex listened, his concern growing. "Is she doing better now?" The pharmacist nodded. "Yes, thanks to you. Mrs. Sharma was in a tough spot. Her husband passed away last year, leaving her to care for Anjali alone. She works hard, but medical expenses are a constant burden for her." Alex felt a pang of empathy for Mrs. Sharma's plight. The struggles of a single parent, the weight of medical bills, and the constant fight to provide a normal life for her child. It was a story of resilience and strength. "Do they live nearby?" Alex asked, thinking out loud. "Yes, just a few blocks from here." "Why do you ask?" the pharmacist queried, curiosity evident in his tone. "I don't know. I just feel like I want to help them more, if I can," Alex replied, his resolve clear. The pharmacist smiled. "That's very kind of you. I can give you their address, but I must warn you, Mrs. Sharma is a proud woman. She may not easily accept charity." Alex understood. It's not about charity. It's about community, about helping each other. I'll figure out a way to make it work." Armed with the address and a new purpose, Alex left the pharmacy. As he walked towards Mrs. Sharma's home, he thought about the interconnectedness of their lives. Each person he had helped or interacted with was a part of a larger narrative, a tapestry woven with threads of kindness, struggle, and resilience. Reaching the address, Alex found himself in front of a modest apartment building. Taking a deep breath, he climbed the stairs to Mrs. Sharma's apartment. He knocked gently, rehearsing in his mind how to approach the conversation. The door opened, and Mrs. Sharma stood there, surprised to see him. "You. How did you find me?" she asked, a mix of confusion and wariness in her eyes. "Hello, Mrs. Sharma. I hope you don't mind my visit. I just wanted to check if you and Anjali were doing okay," Alex began, his tone respectful and sincere. Mrs. Sharma's initial wariness gave way to a cautious relief. "Please come in. We are doing much better, thanks to you. Anjali, come say hello to the kind man who helped us at the pharmacy." A little girl, her eyes bright and her smile shy, peeked from behind her mother. "Hello, sir," she said softly, her voice a gentle melody. Alex smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. "Hello, Anjali. I'm glad to see you're feeling better." As they talked, Alex learned more about their lives. The daily challenges, the small victories, and the enduring love between a mother and her daughter. He offered his help, not as charity, but as a gesture of community support. Together, they brainstormed ideas. Perhaps he could help Mrs. Sharma find a better, paying job, or connect her with a support group for single parents. By the time Alex left, he had established a bond with Mrs. Sharma and Anjali, a connection that went beyond a single act of kindness. It was the beginning of a relationship built on mutual respect and the understanding that sometimes the greatest impact we can make is simply by being there for others. Walking back home, Alex felt a sense of fulfillment. Each person he had helped was a reminder of the power of empathy and the importance of reaching out. In the echoes of gratitude from people like Mrs. Sharma and Anjali, Alex found a deeper purpose, a confirmation that every small act of kindness was a step towards a more compassionate world. After his meaningful visit with Mrs. Sharma and Anjali, Alex found himself walking through a small park near their neighborhood. The park was a splash of green amidst the concrete, a place where local children played, their laughter a testament to the resilience and joy of youth. As he strolled, Alex's thoughts were with Anjali. Her smile, bright and unburdened, despite her challenges, had left a deep impression on him. It was a reminder of how innocence perseveres, how the simple joys of life can shine through even in tough times. Near the swings, Alex noticed a group of children playing. Their carefree energy and unfiltered happiness were infectious. Among them, he recognized a few faces. The same children who'd been listening to Joe's stories that morning. They were a stark contrast to the often harsh realities of their lives, a testament to the enduring spirit of childhood. He sat on a nearby bench, watching them play. Their laughter, their shouts, their sheer vitality were like a balm to his soul. It made him think about the impact of each interaction, how every kind gesture, every moment of understanding could ripple outwards, touching lives in ways he might never fully see. As he watched, a little girl approached him. She was about Anjali's age, with bright eyes and a curious gaze. "Are you watching us play?" she asked innocently. Alex smiled. "Yes, I am. You all seem to be having a great time." The girl nodded enthusiastically. "We love playing here. Sometimes when things are sad at home, coming here makes us happy." Her words were simple yet profound, a child's perspective on finding joy amidst adversity. Alex was moved by her openness, her ability to find happiness in the little things. "Do you come here often?" he asked. "Every day after school," she replied. "My friends and I meet here. It's the best part of the day." Alex's heart swelled at her words. This park, this simple playground, was a haven for these children, a place of refuge and joy. It was a reminder of the importance of safe spaces for children, places where they could just be kids, away from the complexities of their lives. As the girl ran off to rejoin her friends, Alex's thoughts turned to the broader community. He realized that helping individuals was vital, but creating and supporting spaces like this, park where children could thrive, was equally important. He made a mental note to explore ways to contribute more broadly, to support initiatives that benefited the community, especially the children. Whether it was organizing events, fundraising for better play equipment, or simply spending time with the kids, he knew there was much he could do. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the park, Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. The day's journey had shown him the many facets of kindness, from helping a stranger to supporting a community. Each act, big or small, contributed to a larger narrative of compassion and connection. Child's smile, so pure and full of hope, was a powerful reminder of what truly mattered. In a world often clouded by challenges and hardships, It was these moments of genuine human connection that brought light, that made a difference, and Alex was more committed than ever to being a part of that positive change. One smile, one act of kindness at a time. The evening found Alex in a contemplative mood, sitting in his favorite armchair by the window, gazing out at the city lights. The experiences of the past few days had woven a rich tapestry of emotions and revelations, each encounter leaving its unique imprint on his heart. His mind drifted back to the conversation with his mother, the story of their past struggles, and the unexpected connection with Joe. It was almost surreal how the threads of their lives had intertwined, how a single act of kindness years ago had come full circle. This revelation had given Alex a deeper understanding of the impact of our actions, how they echo through time, touching lives we can scarcely imagine. As he reflected, his thoughts were interrupted by a gentle knock on the door. He stood up, curious, and opened it to find a small, unexpected gathering of people outside. It was Mrs. Sharma with Anjali, the woman from the bus stop, and a few of the children from the park, including the little girl who had spoken to him earlier. Surprised and somewhat overwhelmed, Alex greeted them. "What brings all of you here?" Mrs. Sharma stepped forward, a warm smile on her face. "We wanted to say thank you," she said, "not just for the help you've given us individually, but for reminding us of the goodness in people. You've touched each of our lives, and we wanted to show our appreciation." The woman from the bus stop nodded in agreement. "You helped me without a second thought. It meant more to me than you know." The children, shy but beaming, presented Alex with a handmade card, colorful and a bit uneven, filled with their drawings and thank you notes. Anjali, holding her mother's hand, looked up at Alex with bright, grateful eyes. Alex was at a loss for words. The realization that his actions had rippled out to touch these lives filled him with a profound sense of joy and responsibility. He invited them in, and as they gathered in his living room, a spontaneous community meeting unfolded. They shared stories, laughter, and ideas about how they could support each other and the community. Mrs. Sharma mentioned her skills in sewing and crafting. The woman from the bus stop talked about her job at a local school, and the children excitedly proposed a cleanup and beautification project for the park. As they talked, Alex realized that this was more than just a gathering. It was the beginning of a community network, a group of people coming together to support and uplift each other. He felt a deep sense of fulfillment, seeing the tangible results of his actions, and more importantly, the potential for continued positive impact. The evening ended with plans for a community potluck in the park the following weekend, a chance for more neighbors to connect and join in this growing circle of support, as everyone left with promises to return with more ideas and friends. Alex stood at his door, watching them go. The night was quiet, the city lights twinkling like stars in the distance. Alex felt a deep connection to these lights, each representing a life, a story, a potential connection. The circle of kindness he had experienced and contributed to was not just a series of isolated acts. It was a living, breathing entity, growing and evolving with each shared story and supportive gesture. As he closed the door, Alex knew that this was just the beginning. The circle would continue to expand with each act of kindness, each moment of connection, weaving an ever larger web of compassion and community. In this web, each person was both a giver and a receiver, each life a vital thread in the beautiful tapestry of humanity. The following morning, Alex awoke with a sense of purpose. The previous night's gathering had ignited a spark within him, a desire to further the chain of kindness that had become an integral part of his life. His thoughts turned to Joe, the man who had unknowingly set this all in motion. After a quick breakfast, Alex made his way to Joe's corner. He found him there, as always, a calm presence amidst the city's hustle. Joe greeted him with a smile. "Back again, young man. You're becoming a regular." Alex returned the smile. "Joe, I've been thinking a lot about our conversations and about how you've helped me see the world differently. I want to offer you something, not out of pity, but out of respect and gratitude." Joe's eyes held a question, but he remained silent, allowing Alex to continue. "I'd like to invite you to come and stay with my mother and me," Alex said. "It's not just a place to sleep. I want you to be part of our family, to share your stories and wisdom with us. You've been a guardian angel to many, and it's time you had a home to call your own." Joe was taken aback, his usual composure giving way to a mix of surprise and emotion. "That's a generous offer, young man, but I can't impose on your life like that." "It's not an imposition, Joe. You once helped my family when we were in need, and this is my way of saying thank you. You're not just a man on the street to us. You're a part of our story, our history," Alex explained, his voice sincere. The revelation of their past connection seemed to deeply affect Joe. He looked away for a moment, collecting his thoughts. When he spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. To be part of a family again, to have a home. "It's more than I could have hoped for." "Then it's settled," Alex said, a smile breaking across his face. "Let's go home, Joe." The journey back to Alex's home was a mix of emotions. Joe, who had spent so many years on the streets, was quiet, absorbing the reality of this new chapter in his life. Alex, meanwhile, felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing he was helping to restore dignity and hope to someone who had given so much to others. Upon arriving, Alex's mother welcomed Joe with open arms, treating him not as a stranger, but as a long-lost family member. The house, which had always been a place of love and warmth, seemed to embrace Joe as one of its own. Over the next few days, Joe settled into his new life. He shared his stories and wisdom with Alex and his mother, enriching their lives with his experiences and perspectives. In return, they provided him with the comfort and security of a family, something he had missed for so long. Joe's presence brought a new energy to the home. His stories of the past, mixed with Alex's vision for the future, created a beautiful synergy. Together, they planned how they could continue to spread kindness and help others in the community. As days turned into weeks, Joe's transformation was remarkable. From a life of solitude on the streets, he had found a place where he belonged, where he was valued, not just for his past kindness, but for who he was. In this homecoming, Alex realized the true power of compassion and connection. It was not just about helping others. It was about bringing them into your world, sharing your life with them, and allowing them to enrich your own journey. In the weeks that followed Joe's arrival, Alex's home became a hub of warmth and shared stories. Each evening, bringing new lessons and reflections. The atmosphere was one of mutual respect and learning, with Joe's experiences providing a rich backdrop for deep conversations about life, kindness, and the human condition. One evening, as they sat in the living room with cups of tea, the conversation turned towards the philosophy of kindness, a topic that had become central to their lives. Kindness. "Kindness," Joe began, his voice reflective, "isn't just an action. It's a state of being, a way to view the world. It's about seeing beyond ourselves, recognizing the struggles and needs of others, and reaching out to help, not because we expect something in return, but because it's the right thing to do." Alex listened intently, absorbing Joe's words. "I've learned that kindness is a cycle," he added. "It doesn't end with a single act. It creates ripples, touching lives and inspiring others to do the same. It's like a chain reaction of positivity. Joe nodded in agreement. Exactly. And the beautiful thing about kindness is that it benefits the giver as much as the receiver. It enriches our lives, brings us joy and fulfillment, and connects us to others in meaningful ways. Alex's mother, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. Kindness also requires courage and strength. It's easy to be kind when things are going well. But the true test is being kind in the face of adversity, when we're struggling ourselves. They all reflected on this, thinking about the times when being kind had been a challenge, yet had also been the most rewarding. It was in these moments that kindness had the power to transform, to heal, and to bring light into the darkest of situations. The conversation shifted to practical ways they could continue to spread kindness in their community. Joe suggested starting a weekly gathering in the park where people could come together to share stories, support each other, and plan community projects. Alex loved the idea and proposed using his skills in technology and social media to promote these gatherings and to connect with more people in the neighborhood. His mother offered to cook and bring food, turning it into a communal meal, a symbol of shared lives and shared hopes. As the evening drew to a close, they all felt a sense of purpose and excitement. They had each been on their own journeys with kindness, but now their paths had converged, creating a collective vision for a more compassionate community. The philosophy of kindness, as they had discussed, was not just an abstract concept. It was a living, breathing ethos that they were bringing to life through their actions and interactions. It was a reminder that every person has the capacity to make a positive impact, to change lives, and to contribute to a kinder, more empathetic world. In the quiet of the night, as they said their goodbyes and headed to bed, there was a shared feeling of gratitude and anticipation. They were not just individuals living under the same roof. They were a team, a family of sorts, united by a common goal, to live by and spread the philosophy of kindness, one act, one day, one person at a time. The community gathering in the park, as envisioned by Joe, Alex, and his mother, quickly became a reality. The first event was a modest affair, but it was filled with warmth and genuine connection. People from various walks of life came, neighbors, friends of friends, and even curious passers-by drawn in by the buzz of activity. Alex had set up a small area where he shared tips on technology and social media, helping others to connect and share their stories online. His mother, with her innate warmth, presided over a table laden with homemade food, her dishes bringing smiles and contentment to everyone who tasted them. Joe, with his wealth of life experience, became an informal storyteller and advisor, sharing tales that ranged from heartwarming to thought-provoking, each carrying a lesson in kindness and resilience. His stories had a way of bridging gaps between people, sparking conversations, and forging new friendships. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the park, the group gathered for a communal meal. Sitting on picnic blankets and park benches, they shared not just food, but also their own stories and experiences. It was a tapestry of diverse lives, each thread unique, yet woven together by the common thread of community spirit. One of the neighbors, inspired by the gathering, proposed a community garden project. "Let's turn that empty lot over there into a garden," she suggested enthusiastically. "It could be a place where we grow, not just plants, but also relationships and a sense of shared purpose." The idea was met with excitement and a flurry of suggestions. Everyone wanted to contribute in some way, from gardening skills to teaching children about nature, to simply providing a helping hand. As the evening drew to a close, Alex looked around at the smiling faces, the animated conversations, and the overall sense of community. He realized that this was just the beginning of something much larger. The cycle of kindness that had started with small, individual acts was now evolving into a collective movement, a wave of compassion and connection spreading through the community. In the days that followed, the ripple effects of that first gathering were felt throughout the neighborhood. The community garden project took off, bringing people together for a common cause. Alex's social media tips helped create an online community platform where people could share resources, offer support, and coordinate efforts for various initiatives. Joe, with his newfound sense of purpose, became a beloved figure in the community. His wisdom and kindness, a beacon for those seeking guidance or simply a listening ear. Alex's mother found joy in cooking for the gatherings, her food a symbol of nurturing and care. As for Alex, he found fulfillment in using his skills and resources to bring people together, to create a space where kindness and compassion were the foundations of every interaction. He often thought back to his first encounter with Joe, marveling at how a simple act of kindness had led to such profound change.